Hello, everybody, and welcome to the February 2nd Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
6 races to bring you this week, a full slate in 2 separate segments. So we'll get things started off in this first segment with the 4th race from January 25th. We're looking at the 3. She's Ready Made, a horse from John Terranova, who comes off a bit of a layoff here as a second-time starter.
Might be a little bit moto, She's Ready Made, but this was a well-meant horse off the layoff that just got absolutely killed at the start of this race. I mean, she was supposed to win. As you'll see when we'll show the head-on, she stumbled very badly, and it places her, a good 3-4 lengths behind as they've gone about 100 yards. I'm not sure I blame the rider, to be perfectly honest. They weren't going that fast. What was he supposed to do with her? Right. Strangle her in back, let her get all rank. You know how that goes, and she was getting nothing. So he goes up, he cruises the lead, but you think about it, if she broke cleanly, she'd have been sweetly in front without exerting any energy.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. She'd be, a length and a half in front of the 5 probably right now and, going pretty easy there. And, yeah, I can't blame the rider because, what else is he going to do there? Sit behind the 3 front runners there and be all rank and want to go on. And, that's the recipe for disaster as well. So She's Ready Made comes to the top of the stretch to lead here, but, had to do some work to get to the lead and is going to hold on quite well throughout the stretch, just loses by a couple of noses.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she lost this race by probably less than a half length, all for all the money. She finishes 4th, but boy, she would have just been clear of this field and would never have lost. Now, the question you have with these horses when they come back is, was she cranked up to win this time? And this is the kind of horse, when she won this race, I can imagine the next time she ran, wise guys like Eric and I would be betting against her the next time. Now, she'll be running against winners, she'll be running against maidens, but she'll be a short price. She's supposed to beat them, but I don't know. These are the kind of horses, I just don't trust them the next time.
Yeah, there's a look at the bad stumble at the start, and then kind of getting squeezed a little bit after that, and is going to have to take back and go around to the outside to make that move there. You're looking at a short price in this horse regardless. So, it depends. If, if there's a horse that comes up with a big fig or something like that, this horse is, a little bit farther behind figure-wise, then, maybe you get a fair enough price. But if that's not the case, you're looking at a short price.
She's Ready Made, much the best in the race that we just showed, no doubt about it.
Take a look at our second race now, another maiden. This is an interesting one, I think, Pegasus Diamond. This is from the 9th race on the 25th. This horse breaks from the inside, a first-time starter from the Richard Metivier barn.
Yeah, Richard Metivier trains this horse, and this horse actually broke about, a half length or so slow. And then you see the rider, really riding aggressively here on Pegasus Diamond. It's Jose Valdivia. And this was a very tough New York-bred maiden special weight race, much unusually tough. But in here, he gets tightened up and completely steady back to last.
Yeah, a disaster here. I mean, a horse that was, clearly sent away from the gate in the beginning. The right thing to do by the rider to try to make sure you get some position. Then, things just close up on you and you drop back 5 or 6 lengths, and then you come back to the outside and start to make a little bit of a move here. I mean, this is a horse that went off a big price in this race, and here actually went off at 31-1. Probably, people could probably have said it could have gone off a little bit higher or a little bit shorter, but nonetheless, a big effort here for around the turn. And then, like you said, this is a tough race. I mean, the horse that wins, Sacred Success, is a solid New York bred, and this is a lot to overcome against a good field of maidens.
And it's not as though this horse just had trouble and lingered at the back of the pack. This horse had trouble and then made that real run. Now, we're going to show you the head-on so you can get another view of what took place with this horse. And just keep your eye on this horse as things tighten up on the inside and gets totally squeezed back to last. And, I know the rider's riding aggressively. Look, stuff happens in here. But the bottom line is, this is a horse that has some speed. I think this horse was very well meant despite the price, which, as you said, could have been a bigger price of sort of a low-profile connections in a very loaded race with horses taking money. I mean, you see this horse totally steadying out and really ran after being steady. And Maggie was talking about this horse with me and saying that she thought he was a really nice-looking horse as well. And I think Pegasus Diamond is in here. This horse is going to come back, and listen, it's not going to be a huge price, but the connections may keep the price high enough, and he can really run.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at this little move that she makes, around the outside there in between horses. And, it's not like this horse had the trouble steadied out after, trying to show that speed in the beginning and just, didn't know other running. This horse did some fairly significant running and was actually, 5th in the race here.
No, yeah, Pegasus Diamond is a horse that's going to be really tough next time it runs. I mean, I'd like to see this horse run against the horses that finished 2nd and 3rd in this race and give it a chance. And maybe the 2nd place finisher, Jimmy Jerkin's horse, Sing Dixie Sing, who ran very well. And I'm not saying Pegasus Diamond has to beat that horse, but I'd take my chances and certainly use it for 2nd. I think this horse is A-OK.
I agree with you. One more race to bring you in this first segment. We'll take a look at some veterans here going a mile on the inner track, and now one is a 1 for New York breds.
Yeah, well, this was on Saturday, and Saturday was a clear, strong strong, super strong rail, and wanted to show some races from over the weekend and talk about trips. Now, the winner wires the field on the inside. We want to talk about Sound of Drums, who will get carried wide on the second term. This Hard Land, who is wide the entire way. And these two horses on the outside, Master Splash as well as Greeley's Law. Now, Master Splash could have been the speed here, but he breaks slow as he does so many times, and then he puts him behind the 8-ball with an unaggressive ride. He ends up out in the middle of the racetrack. You can see, and he, along with Greeley's Law, who needs a drop in class. This Hard Land, he's 4 wide the whole way. And this horse, once again, Sound of Drums, he'll tuck back in the 2-path. It's not until the second turn that he gets that super wide trip.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 horses that are on the outside here are clearly up against it. And, the rider on this Hard Land, Junior Alvarado, is kind of stuck in a catch-22 there. He lost some ground on the first turn, and now he's, kind of raiding him back and taking him back a little bit here, not moving forward to get position. I mean, this is a horse that likes to come from a little bit farther back, but you see where the other 2 horses that were outside were, they're up a couple lengths closer now. So now he's got to make up those lengths in addition to the ground that he lost in the turn.
And also, this was the 4th race on Saturday, so this is when it really became apparent we had the gold rail. So you can't blame riders for sort of riding in manners, thinking you have a fair racetrack. And this Hard Land, he's not a speed horse. There's nothing he can do, and he just gets caught out in no man's land, chasing his Master Splash, who should have gotten a more aggressive ride, but the bad break hurt him. Greeley's Law just has no chance in that position. Sound of Drums all the way back here, and we'll pick them up in the top of the stretch when he gets sort of spun out very, very wide. And the other thing that's interesting about this race, Smooth Transition, who finishes second here, he's number 7. Well, he's back here on the inside last, but don't forget, he's on the rail the whole way, and he gets that sweet move up the rail, and the Red Sea splits for him, and he gets through, and that's why he was second, because you see on the far side, Master Splash is still chasing 2 wide, but all the way out here, you've got this Hard Land in like the 5-path, and swinging outside of him is Sound of Drums. I mean, horses, we saw it the entire day. They're trying to make runs down the middle of the racetrack and the stretch. They just can't pick up any ground. And poor this Hard Land, I mean, this horse never stops running.
Race, yeah.
It really runs huge.
No, only gets beat 2 3/4 in here and had every right to just be done at the 8th hole, and still comes with a good finish. One of the, I guess, the only horse out of that group of horses that we're taking a look at that actually finished up in the race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, if they assembled this same field together on a fair racetrack, he would drown these horses. He could not lose in a fairly run race. I think Sound of Drums, the one who may be a little bit dirtied up now. I don't think he can beat this Hard Land. He didn't run close to as well as him. But he's run decently recently, and maybe he could be a bit more of a price. Once again, we can always use your help. And we got some last week. In fact, Pegasus Diamond was a horse that somebody sent us an email about. We'd already talked about it. We got an email, and we appreciate the help. Trips and traps at NYRAinc.com.
Come on back for the second segment.